All right, it is 7 o'clock. Are we ready to start? Welcome to the Oquirrh Mountain District Roundtable for the Council Roundtable today, October 1st. Today we're going to have our agenda as so before people got here, we had them network and try and socialize. I didn't hear a lot of socialization going on, but the whole goal of Roundtable is to help us to be able to meet new people, create new relationships, and be able to make friends. And that's why I come to Scout still. So if you haven't already, make sure that you use the chat and chat with different people within the group. Try and find out what their name is, what their position is, and what their favorite food is. Generally, when we have our roundtables, we have door prizes. So if you're in the Oquirrh Mountain District, make sure that you come because you might get some good door prizes. But thank you guys for all being here. We are going to start our meeting with Duty to God. So Stuart Show from the Timpanogos District will be offering our opening prayer. So please give him your undivided attention and please remove all non-religious headgear.
Our dear Father in heaven, as we come before thee at the beginning of our meeting tonight, our council roundtable meeting, we pray that thy spirit might be with us and with all those who participate, with those who are presenting, that they might do so in a manner that will be a blessing to each and every one of us who are here. We ask thee to be with all the scouts and their leaders, and that they may be watched over and blessed. And we ask for these blessings in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Now, Dan from Oquirrh Mountain will now do the flag and the pledge.
Okay. Well, I guess we just have to face if you got a flag. There you go. Please salute. Repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. 2.
Thank you. And Mr. Harold Bowman will now do the Scout Oath Law and Outdoor Code.
Scout sign. On my honor, I will do my best
to do my
duty to God and my country and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. The Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. As an American, I will do my best to be clean in my outdoor manners, be careful with fire, be considerate in the outdoors, and be conservation minded. 2.
Thank you. Thank you all for being here. Today, what we're going to start with are our hot topics and tell some announcements. Or for those that don't like the word announcements, some business items. So I'm going to make this bigger for you guys to be able to see this better. So for our announcements, rechartering is coming up soon. So if you are within the different units or whatever, talk to your district key 3 about some of the new changes that have happened with the rechartering for this year. If you are at district key 3, make sure that you know those changes. And if you don't, see your district executive. Next thing is training. Hazardous weather training is now going to be required every year. I'm going to say that again. Hazardous weather required every year. It is a new update, so we need to make sure that we are taking care of that training. Also, we have other leadership development training, so I'm going to click and go to that right now. And it opened up in my other screen. So mandatory is youth protection training and hazardous weather training. Make sure that you do those trainings. As a council, we are not doing well in trainings. So we need to be better with our trainings. If you haven't gotten trained, you can find this on utahscouts.org/trainings. If you know people that need to have trainings, have them go to this. And then there's position-specific training. There are a lot of different leader-specific trainings available for you guys. So if you're just starting, there's some for you. If you are a commissioner, there's some for you. Please make sure that you log on and check to see that your training is up to date. Next, planning for summer camps. It is October already, and summer camps are starting to open up for next year. So if you are planning on going to a specific summer camp, start the process of trying to get into those camps. That's what I'm going to have to say about that. Right now, between September 7th and November 11th is the popcorn fundraiser. So the popcorn fundraiser, there is still time to be able to participate in this on utahscouts.org/popcorn. It says right here for October 9th, there will be a second popcorn unit distribution. And then you guys can take orders and get those orders done and turned in, and all that's due by November 4th. Thursday, November 14th is the take order unit distribution, and payments are due to council by the 2nd. You do get the 33% base rate and 2% unit sales exceeding 5,000 in product, or no product is returned. So there's more details on the popcorn site. Okay, next. The October 19th, Fall Festival and Auction. So every year, the council does a festival and auction to be able to benefit scouting. They have a lot of cool things. More information can be found at the Fall Festival site, which is utahscouts.org/auction. You are always welcome to come to these. There's going to be a silent auction starting on October 15th to the 19th, just right before the actual in-person auction starts. And they always have good stuff. And this is going to be at Thanksgiving Point Show Barn in Lehigh on October 19th. There, to get registered, you can go to utahscouts.org/auction, and there's different sponsorship levels. And then you can donate different things. So they're always looking for extra items. So if you work for a company that can offer a trip somewhere, or you work for a place that does hunting, guiding, you can present those things to the council, and they can auction some of those experiences off, which is awesome. Let's see. Next. Jamboree on the internet. So for those that like to do the jamboree type things, October 19th, there is a jamboree on the internet, and that is going to be at a specific location. That location is the Utah State University Merrill Kaiser Library in Logan, Utah. And what they're doing with that is there are 3 available time slots, and basically you need to register early. Only 40 scouts are allowed per session, for a total of 120. So if you haven't gotten in and it's closed, I don't know what to tell you. But that would be something interesting for some of the youth that you have. Next on the agenda is the memorabilia auction and traderie. So for those people that love patches, because I think most scouts love patches, I know I do. The memorabilia and traderie event will be on October 25th and 26th. We encourage all people to come. Units are available, or units can come and they can camp overnight. And some of the youth can work on different merit badges. So the collecting merit badge and stuff like that. So please go. It's fun. And then if I think it's I don't remember how much exactly it is. I'll click on the memorabilia auction site. Here it is. It's $5 admission, and that's includes a bib number and a participant shoulder patch. And then if you want to eat dinner, breakfast, or lunch, those are $7 a piece. I would highly suggest.
If scouts come, there's no fee if they're in uniform, unless they want the patch and dinner.
Right. So it says right here, for scout units, free to scout units. And they're working on collections and scouting heritage. Okay. Next, the Oquirrh Mountain District, our district is having a turkey shoot on October 26th. So that's that Saturday at the Lee K Center. The turkey shoot information is online. Here's a copy of the flyer. So with the flyer, we want to have different teams. So it is $175 per team of 5 people or $40 an individual. You will need to provide your own shotguns and your own shells. Nita Orgill is in charge of this. So for more information, please contact her. She is the Oquirrh Mountain District Executive. Okay. Next, November 9th and December 6th and 7th. November 9th, there's range safety officer training for those interested. And then December 6th and 7th is rifle instructor training. That training can be found on the Utah Scouts site. So when we click on training, it will be utahscouts.org/activities. And then there's the different activities, the approved ranges, get registered for the different courses. Range safety officer is $30 and rifle instructor course is $85. And both of those are at Camp Tracy. So close by if you live near Salt Lake City. If you don't, it's still a great place to go and highly recommended. Next, Wasatch Peaks on November 23rd is having a Pinewood Derby. With the Pinewood Derby, they want as many people to come. It's not just for people of their district. It is also for a good recruiting activity. So if you have other youth that want to participate, you're welcome to be able to invite them. That information is online, Open Sesame. Oops. So that is from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. at the Tim Dale dealership in South Jordan. And registration will be open until October 14th. For a flyer, awards for racing and car designs will be given. Bring a friend not currently in scouting. All right. Those are the main things that I have. The last announcement is about scouting for food. Lorna Kosi will be giving us a little bit more information on scouting for food. So Lorna. Are you here?
David, this is Doug. Lorna is not with us.
Okay.
I don't think we were aware that she was planning to be on this one. I thought it was going to be in January, but I can give you a little bit of information there. February 8th will in fact be the date of the primary Scouting for Food Day, where everybody that's involved with Smith's Food Stores will be requesting food of shoppers in front of the stores, etc. For the other partners, that will be going on. Things will be going on for the week prior to that. It'll basically just be a 1 week event this time instead of 2 weeks, with the main date being on the 8th. There will be a lot more information coming, but there will be plenty to do for all Scout units who want to be involved, and we're hoping that all will want to be, and there will be more information forthcoming soon.
Thank you, Doug. So if you haven't experienced the Scouting for Food, it's really fun. It is a lot of work sometimes, but Lorna likes to try and make sure that things run smoothly. She's great to work with. I know that each district usually has to have a representative for the Scouting for Food. So if we haven't got those representatives, we need to make sure that that gets done, and Lorna knows about it. Doug, did you have something else that you wanted to add to that?
Just that for those of you who are not aware about this event, it is a tremendous opportunity for Scout units of all kinds to have a significant impact in the community in terms of providing food to those in need, as well as an opportunity to get out in front of the public and make our presence known in the community. Hardly one of these goes by without us hearing stories about Scout units having shoppers walk up to them and things like that saying, we didn't realize Scouts were still in Utah. So this is a great opportunity for that, as well as an opportunity to recruit, because you may well have people come up to you and say, how can my son or daughter get involved in this?
Thank you, Doug. He's totally right. Now, if you are in a smaller town, so I know out here in Tooele, generally they do the pickups and stuff at the Smiths. I know that out here we did, we got some of the local grocery stores to be able to let us be there to be able to collect food. And what we had to do was we had to actually get the food, gather it, and take it to our local food bank and weigh it, and then get that those weights to Lorna so that those could be reported. So if you live in a smaller town, I talked to your local supermarkets and asked to see if they would be willing to let you guys come. It is something that is great to be able to participate in, and it really does make a difference. So David Augustin, I know you were on here. Did you have any other announcements that you wanted to add for the whole group before we go to our district breakouts?
Nope, I think we're good.
Okay, sounds good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to district breakouts for our district announcements. So commissioners for those different districts, the goal is 8 minutes. So try and be quick with your announcements so that we can get back. But if you need, well, so Annalise.
Hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Silver Beaver nominations are due.
What is due?
Silver Beaver nominations are due before December 31st.
Silver Beaver nominations. So Silver Beaver turn those in before December 31st.
And
So
the nominations online.
Question.
Sure.
If we made a Silver Beaver nomination last year, did that carry over to this year, or does it have to be done again?
They do not carry over from year to year, so they have to be resubmitted if they did not receive it last year.
Okay, thank you.
Good question,
So
David.
please resubmit, and do not put on there, please see attachment, because we do not see attachments. We need you to fill in all of the information in the appropriate areas, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
How,
All right.
how many can our council give this year, next year? So
It depends on how many units we have, but we look at all of the submissions that are submitted, and we award as many as we are allowed each year. So we're allowed one award per 60 units in the council. So please resubmit each year if they do not receive it. And we are working on setting up a gathering. So when that is done, then we will let everybody know. Sorry, we need to get into our individual breakouts.
You're just fine.
So I just want to make sure it got announced.
You are just fine. We need to remember that this is an opportunity for us to ask questions and get answers to our questions. All right, so we're going to go ahead and split into our district breakouts at this time. So, welcome back, everybody. All right, safety moment is hammock camping. Now, by raise of hands or thumbs up or some sort of signal, how many people have ever been hammock camping? Okay, and then the next question is, how many youth do you have within your units or that you know about that like to hammock camp? So think about that. I have seen hammocks that were stacked from in between two trees, and literally it was like 20 feet high. And that's before the safety moment hammock camping guidelines came out. So it was really scary, and I was thinking, how on earth would a student be able to, or not a student, teacher, student, how be able to do that? Oh, I dropped my microphone. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the good, the bad, and what the policies say. So the good, it's fun. There's minimal impact on the environment. It aligns with the leave no trace principles, so it helps to not stomp on different plants and things. So if there's campgrounds with a whole lot of people, it helps to minimize some of that impact when using proper tree straps. It's modular, so you can pack in different ways. You can customize your setup for the spring, summer, fall, and winter. I have camped in a hammock during the wintertime, and I actually slept warmer in my hammock with the proper setup than in a tent. And it also gets you up off of the ground, which I'll just say when we get more seasoned or youthfully challenged, getting off the ground is important because then we can actually get up in the morning. When used with a tarp, there can be more usable space for cooking and things like that. You can have a shelter pretty much up when it rains. It's off the ground, so you don't have to worry about level spaces or rocks on the ground or tree roots or wherever you camp. They're more comfortable to sleep in if you know how. Some people sleep in a hammock like a banana boat. You really should sleep at a diagonal. It actually helps straighten you up, and it's a lot more comfortable. And they're quick and easy to set up and take down. The bad. Only one person can use them. Misuse can cause injuries. It can ruin trees with the wrong straps. So if the strap is too thin, it will dig into the tree, which is not healthy for the tree. There might be no trees. That's not fun. And then you have your sleep system and you have no way to use it. So what are you going to do? And sleeping in the car is not as comfortable. Believe me, I know. Weight savings isn't much. So you could get an ultralight tent for the amount of weight that what that costs. So if you like ultralight backpacking and stuff like that, that's a downside. They're hard to get into and out of for bathroom visits. I know, at least for me. I don't like to get up when I get into my hammock because it's hard to get up out of the hammock. And then it can be cold on the bottom. Now, here are some essential tips that we need to consider. And this is from scouting.org. So we need to make sure that we're following the manufacturer's instructions. Every hammock manufacturer has different guidelines, so we need to follow those. If it says don't hold more than 300 pounds, don't hold more than 300 pounds. If it says check the different straps for wear and tear before you use them each time, do that. A lot of people usually get hurt because they set up their hammocks incorrectly. Find secure hanging locations. So something that's solid, something that's not going to break. With that, make sure you look up so that you can see if there's any widow makers, because we don't want to go to camp and then a widow maker make our spouses widows. Check knots and fastenings. Make sure that how you set it up is strong. Avoid stacking hammocks. So it said in these, never stack hammocks on top of each other. It compromises their stability and increases the risk of accidents. So the guidelines is actually to keep the hammocks no more than 3 feet above the ground. That's the highest that they should go. So the height restrictions: hang hammocks no higher than 3 feet to prevent severe falls and injuries. I heard a story once where someone was at camp. It was a youth and they were in a hammock. They fell out of the hammock and hit their head on a rock underneath their hammock to the point where it opened up their cranium and they had to go to the hospital. So we just need to be mindful that those types of things can happen. Stay away from water. That way, if you're sleeping or whatever, you don't fall out and fall into the water and drown. No swinging or standing. So if people are using them by standing up and swinging and trying to jump off, that's not good. Even though I know some of us probably at a playground were on swings and we swung a lot and tried to jump out. I know from personal experience, it doesn't always feel good when you fall on the ground. Inspect your ropes. Make sure that they are good from wear and tear. Watch the weight limits, supervise kids in them, and protect the trees. Our local policy that applies to our camp facilities is hammocks tied to trees are not allowed. So any of the council camps, we cannot tie the hammocks to the trees. They must be hung with an independent hanger that is not hooked to the trees. And that is directly from Jeremy Bell. So that's what I have about the safety minute.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining our breakout session for Cub Scouts. We are doing this for the council, and it is a pleasure for me to say hello to all of you. I know several of you. I'm really pleased about that. And tonight we're going to talk about what Ben touched on earlier, which is trainings. There's, a lot of good information out there. John Spence is going to start us out, and then I will take over after a little bit. John, it's your turn.
Okay. So we thought about what we should talk about, and so training is an important part of scouting. So why is it important? Why do we need to do training? Why do you think it's important? Any ideas? Or is this question too obvious to come up with? Why do we have trainings?
I know for me, training helped me know what the heck I was doing.
Yeah. So
especially
who needs
basic
training, Shelley?
What?
Who needs training?
Everyone.
Everyone. That's right. Everyone needs training. Ignorance costs more than knowledge. Have you ever thought about that? When you're not trained, how much does it cost you in time and effort and everything? So when I was first got into Cub Scouts in 1986, I went to Roundtable, and the first thing they did was they set me aside and did fast start training. And then a couple of weeks later, we had basic training. And basic training at that time was 2 4-hour nights and an 8-hour Saturday. And then it changed to just 1 4-hour night and an 8-hour Saturday. And then it changed to just an 8-hour Saturday. And then it changed to a 7-hour and then a 6-hour. And then for about 8 or 9 years, it was a 5-hour. And then around 2000, they said, we're going to change it to 2 hours. And at that time, I told them that's not basic training. That's fast start training and that. Well, nowadays, all we're doing is online training. And I think we're missing out on a lot of stuff. My next question is why won't our Cub Scout leaders get trained? Any ideas on that?
I'll chime in. One of the challenges that we have in our pack is that a lot of the parents are parents of, multiple small children. And, it takes a lot of time out of their day when they're trying to, they've got jobs, they've got kids in school, they've got other extracurricular activities. And it's just one more thing for them to do. And it's hard to impress the importance of making sure that they take advantage of those resources so that they can effectively deliver the program.
It goes back to my statement is ignorance costs more than knowledge. That it takes some time, yeah, but look at how much time you save if you're trained. If you know you're a den leader and you know what a den, you need to know what to do, or you need to be trained on what the other positions are, so you're not doing 2 or 3 jobs when your job is just one or that. Every month at our commissioner meeting, we talk about training. Council puts out a report and tells us about training. The YPT, Youth Protection, our council's at 98 to 100%. Well, obviously you have to be 100% or you're going to be dropped real soon. And then they go into position specific. And as a whole, our council in the Cub Scouts is 56%. So some districts that ranges from 43 up to 73. So that means that we're just barely over 50% of our registered leaders are trained in their position. So what can we do to get them to be trained?
Hey, and don't get me wrong, I'm all in with you on the need for training. I'm voicing some of the concerns, that I'm hearing from the leaders in our group that we're trying to encourage them to get trained. It's just, it's one more thing to do when they're already struggling as parents of young kids. But one of the challenges, in my opinion, is that training is only available for certain activities once a year. And if that weekend just doesn't work out, then then our potential leaders are skipping or missing that opportunity to get training. And if they want,
I think we just definitely need to remember to ask them all, because sometimes they think that they've done that youth protection training and that's all they need to do. So especially our newer leaders, we need to ask them to do their den specific training.
Okay.
Sorry, I have a comment. As a Cub Scout Roundtable Commissioner, one of my jobs is to find out what trainings are available in other districts as well. Because my people can go to Ogden, they can go to Salt Lake to do those other trainings, things like Baloo, where my district offered it, only one person signed up. So I sent them to a couple of the other districts that were also offering it. So making sure that there are other options as well.
Okay.
I would go on that. This is Gavin over in the Wasatch. We have a new pack that just started up last year. Very successful, 47 youth in the first year, and we had 38 of those returning. But that pack, as it's growing, had to pick its battles on how to use our time. To kind of pivot on what was being said previously, we had to figure out how to run the pack first. And now this year, I am picking up the unit commissioner role and helping with the committee there. We need to get our den leaders going through this training. And what I believe it was is a lack of awareness. Because when I had one of the den leaders go through the training, she came back and said, "That was amazing. I had answered so many more questions than when you gave me because the new Tiger and Lion books leave a lot to be desired in the new with what they lack and what they had last year. Even I actually gave the Tiger, I gave her the last year's Tiger book. I said, this is all books, even if it's old, it's way more helpful than some of the new stuff. But once she finished the den leader training, she says, I think I'm better prepared just from the online training to move forward. So that my question was, when I came in late, I apologize, I had a school function tonight, but the in-person training, Baloo is pretty much the only one that we looked as necessary for in-person for our new startup. And we ended up getting 3 people through that last year, which was, I think, amazing given how much time that did take. But I will say the online training, the way it's put together is so valuable, I think, that not having people say I'm too busy to do that, I have trouble not responding negatively to that comment or being defensive.
John?
Yeah.
One thing that I have found is that when I have started my training and I've been interrupted, I can stop where I'm at and come back to it, which has helped me when I've been, super busy and still need to get my training done.
Right.
So that is helpful for people.
Yeah, I agree. And that's a great asset with it. From when I started in Cub Scouts in 1986 to now, there is so many modules. There is so much training that I sat down one day in January, I think it was January 3rd, for 8 hours just doing different modules that I'd never seen before. And there's just so much out there. Shelly's going to talk about hazardous training in a bit, but I went to camp last year, and I won't tell you where that was at. It wasn't in our council, but we were having lightning and thunder and different things, and they didn't follow any of the hazardous waste or hazardous weather rules or regulations. And so the training just saves us as leaders, because if something happens and you haven't done your training, that's what backs you up, is in a lot of it. So we're going to kind of run through some trainings just in case some of you aren't aware. Shelly's going to tell us first about Wood Badge. Shelley, give us a quick version of wood badge.
Hey,
He just
hey
went.
John,
Yeah.
before we jump into that, can I have everyone in the chat put down what they're doing to motivate people to get training? I don't want to take away from the actual training, but just your thoughts of what you're doing in your unit that might be able to help everyone else to figure out how to get their people to training. Because Gavin made some great points. So carry on.
Yes. Thank you, Nita. All right. So I would say raise your hand, but I am blind, so I wouldn't be able to see it anyway. But I'm hoping that you guys can or have gone to Wood Badge. If you have not, well, let me tell you what it is. Wood Badge is a 5-day training separated by 2 weeks, typically. This year, I think we only had it one time in May, and it was fantastic. It was the second time I went through, but there's so much to learn, and there are things that I thought I knew that apparently I didn't know very well that were added to in Wood Badge. There was new things to learn, leadership styles to learn, communication methods, and all those are important when you are running a pack or running a den, or in my position, being a roundtable commissioner for Cub Scouts. So Wood Badge is strongly encouraged. Obviously, it's not required. And then Benjamin mentioned the hazardous weather requirement. That is new, as us old dogs know. I am glad for this. When I was at Bear Lake Aquatic Space for a summer, when my husband was working up there and I was a counselor up there, and I had just gone through hazardous weather training for the first time. And I was really surprised that there was such a training. And so we used to get up at Bear Lake, for those of you who've been up there, sometimes the weather can be a little crazy. And when I first got up there, they said, oh, it never rains up here. And I told my husband, I said, are you sure? You want to make sure that our tent was completely enclosed. And it was the wettest summer they had on record. And there were a lot of thunderstorms. And so, the archery had to keep closing down. The waterfront had to keep closing down. And so we had to establish games, indoor games. People would go inside and we would have, fun activities for the kids. And that was a big eye opener for me because I did not realize that that was such a thing. But when I thought about it, it made sense because you don't want to be in the water when there's a thunderstorm. No, I won't admit that when I was a young girl, like of 9, I used to jump in the river, even if there was a thunderstorm, until my dad pulled me out screaming. And yeah, I didn't care there was thunder and lightning. So I hope that each of us will take a few minutes. It's not a long training. And so, maybe 1 or 2 sittings to get that done. And
is that the online training you're referring to again?
That is the online training.
Oh, yes, that was very quick. That was super awesome.
So the one thing with that, and I don't know if they've corrected it on the hazardous weather, is that when you take that, it does, in the past, it hasn't recorded over so that council gets credit for it. And so you need to tell your member of the key three that they have to put that in or something. Nita, do you know anything more on that, or is that correct? Or I know a lot of people were saying, hey, I've done that and it doesn't show on the council record or something.
It's supposed to be recorded by the people that are doing the training. But it's best if you talk to your district executive and ask for that training so we can verify that it is being recorded, because we've had several instances where it hasn't been recorded, and Dave and I have actually gone in to make those recordings. So I guess basically the training is up to you to follow. If you've done it, you need to let somebody know just to verify it.
Okay. All right. I'm going to run over several things real fast here. Some of the other trainings. These are the next one. So Wood Badge is leadership training, teaches you how to be a leader and that. Kayla's Council is a program training. For those of you who haven't gone to it, it's a 3.5-day training. The newer you are, the better it is for you. If you've been in 15 or 20 years, you might not pick up as much as you will brand new, but it goes through all the program of Cub Scouting, and it really helps you. Blue is outdoor training. It used to be Weeble's outdoor training. It's now for all the Cub Scouts. You have to have a blue trained leader on any outdoor program event you do. There's one coming up on October 10th and 12th in our district that it hasn't been opened up for registration to the other districts, but it will in a couple days. So if you've got people that need to go to that, it'll be opening up. There's a certain number on that one. University of Scouting is March or the spring every year. Adult training for all aspects of Cub Scouting there. Roundtable every month for those to come. All these trainings I've just discussed are adult trainings. This is where you come and you socialize in all these trainings with other Cub Scout people. Get the fun out of Cub Scouting. If I'm not having fun, then I'm not going to come to these things. And I have had fun for 50 years in scouting, and I love coming and rubbing shoulders with everybody. I met Nita the first time at Roundtable, and that was, well, I don't know, 30 years ago or something. But, and that's where the information can be, and you share from those who've been in quite a while and everything else. But those are all, somebody on Facebook one day said, hey, we need to have a patrol in the troop that for our parents. And I responded back, you've got Roundtable and you've got all these other trainings, University of Scouting and that you can go to and rub shoulders and socialize and have a great time and learn from each other. It's your away time. You're not with the kids. You get to be there and learn from each other and rub shoulders on that. The next thing I want to cover is I received a letter from, and I'm not exactly sure where, but it's do the Cub Scout program updates require leaders to take new training? And the answer to that is yes. So which sections on the online Cub Scout training site have been updated? So it goes through, and the den leader, assistant den leader section has, the Cub Master, assistant Cub Master module has, the pack committee chairman module has, the pack committee member modules have. And so if you haven't been retrained, I guess you could say, or updated in your training since the 1st of June, the modules have all been changed. You can go to my training section of my.scouting.org and check on all those. Other modules
can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
And I volunteered to share my screen. I can't figure out, that was mentioned somewhere. I think it was at the commissioner training that when we had the retreat, that those were updated. And it was difficult for me, actually impossible, for me to figure out online which ones were updated and which ones weren't. Is it possible for me to like literally share my screen? I'm not trying to be selfish. I'm just trying to
go
say,
ahead.
this is what it looks like to me.
If I knew how to share my screen, I would do it, but I'm old and
it's fine. So this is the den leader, assistant den leader.
Okay.
I took it in May, mainly because I was going through all the commissioner stuff, and it's just I can't figure out where I would learn what portions were updated. Because even when you go into a module, there's no date. Again, I'm just providing feedback. I'm not unless there is someone who knows the correct answer. I did try to play with downloading the big CSV of all of the schedules, but it doesn't tell you what date that program was released. So that again, feedback, not necessarily trying to.
So this is the letter I had gotten, and so which module should you focus on? This is where I was getting to next. Bobcat has been updated. Advancement, Cub Scout uniforms has been updated. Conducting a den meeting, den leaders, den chiefs, conducting a pack meeting. All these have. So it has a position specific for each of your positions that have changed, but it's also got the other modules that any of the groups can go in and double check with the Bobcat and advancement and everything.
As you all know, the Cub Scout program has changed so drastically that it would not hurt you, even though it's only been a few months, to redo the training. I know it takes time, and that's frustrating.
So there is a bunch that's changed. So my one comment for everyone is I've been in Cub Scouting for 35 years, and I have seen a lot of changes. And the changes that happen in June, almost everyone I've seen, they put some time, some effort, and made some good changes for it that I would agree with. Over the years, they've made some changes that I've been called National Committee. I was on National Committee in '98, and I just lambasted them several times on every time a new person would come, they wanted to change something, and it just irritated me to no end. And a lot of the changes over the years I haven't agreed with. One of them I never agreed with was not having a theme every month. Anyway, but all the changes in since June, June 1st, they put a lot of effort into them to help the program, and they've really streamlined it from before and made it a lot easier for the leaders so they don't have to use a lot of time preparing and different things like that. The one thing I really like is and we do it a lot, is if you have to combine dens together, that both dens can be earning, you can be working on the same thing and each of them earning, passing off requirements for the whatever the achievement is that they're doing at the time. So anyway, any questions so far? So is there any other questions on any of the training? I don't know how many of you have taken advantage of the University of Scouting. They have a section there for Cub Scouts, for Boy Scouts, or for Scouts. And the Cub Scout section there, they have some great things. It used to be powwow for those who've been around a long time and have merged into the University of Scouting. But I've gone the last 3 years or more, and councils, they've done an excellent job on it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about den chiefs real quick.
So an interesting thing, I've gone to a couple of trainings in the last few months, and people keep bringing up den chiefs, how to get den chiefs, what are den chiefs, and all that different stuff. And a den chief, for those of you who have never used them or had them, is a scout in the troop, is assigned to be a den chief. The den chief comes to the pack and is assigned either a den, or he can be a den chief for the pack. We have, each one of our dens has a den chief assigned from the troop. How do you get the troop to assign them? The easiest, a lot of people say go to the senior patrol leader, but actually you should go to the key three and tell them you need so many den chiefs, and they should do what they can to accommodate the dens. What does a den chief do? The den chief is an assistant to the den leader or the cub master at pack meeting. At pack meeting, when I've been cub master, I use them to do the pre-opening. When we did the blue and gold, they gave out the dessert, and we just give them assignments like any other adult. They are not the too deep leadership. They are a scout still, but they're there. And so if you want to play a game, you have the den chief do the game, so you don't have to get down on your hands and knees unless you want to. But a den chief makes it so much easier for a den leader to do den meetings. And the kids look up to the den chief as a role model. The den chiefs have requirements that they do to earn their den chief award. I taught that at University of Scouting last year. It was a 6-hour class that they have to take also. But it's we had, I think, 14 scouts there taking that class. It was a lot of fun. The scouts that were all there just love it. Most of them, the best den chiefs, are the ones that have just been out for a year or two from being an arrow, and they love coming back and doing all the fun things that we did they did in the pack. And so any other comments on den chiefs or that?
I'd like to make a comment, John.
Go ahead.
I know for me, when I was a den leader, dating back about 25 years, I learned something from a den chief that I have remembered all these years later. And it was at a pack meeting, because we just had a den chief for the pack meeting. And we'd assigned him refreshments. And he came with 4 packages of cookies from the store. And he said, Sister Martin, It's not quality, it's quantity Cub Scouts care about. And I never forgot that, because he's right. Of all the activities and refreshments I've done, they just want lots of it. And so, there are things that they can bring to the table that our youth can learn, that we can learn. And they're, as John said, they're great examples. It also, for some of those Cubs who aren't sure if they want to become a Boy Scout, gives them an idea of something they can do when they're a scout. So it might help encourage them to want to move on.
I definitely agree with her comment there. The den chief we have at 3072 happens to be the sibling of a Cub Scout, so it's super easy. The parents got to bring the kid anyway. So those of you that are having trouble finding den chiefs, look for those sibling relationships where someone's in a troop and you got another kid in the Cub Scouting. I did our first interaction between the troop and the Cubs happened at a parade a few weeks ago, and I was not. I just to speak bluntly and honestly, and I apologize for anybody who disagrees with me necessarily. The interaction between our troop and our Cubs was not favorable. It was very much we're older than you, we're cooler than you, that kind of. I'm not saying on the edge of bullying or anything, but it was just not the interaction we looked for. But our den chief provides that down to earth approach that we didn't see from the older boys when the troop and the Cubs got together. So I think as that grows, I think we'll see some areas. And we're also trying to pull a den chief from a unrelated troop because there's a kid there that wants to be a den chief and get that award that's out there. So I think some of the kids are award taken, some of them are just convenience. I'll be quiet now.
So it used to be that a den chief also had to be a first class scout. Is that not correct?
Yes, I believe so. Matter of fact, you're right. I'm losing my memory, but yes, that's right. So, and it is the leadership position, so it covers their leadership position and everything. But I mean, I love our den chiefs, and you can take them from different troops. They don't have to be connected to your troop or that. It's the same as when the crossover. They don't have to cross over to your troop. They can cross over to any troop they want, especially now, the way the council's set up. And so, yeah. And I mean, our troop, I'm not sure how many they have now, but they have been running 40 to 45 scouts in the boys portion and 7 or 8 in the girls. And they need leadership positions. The den chief is a great one. The best ones are the siblings. I will say that. If the mom's the den leader, she brings the older scout, and to be a den leader works the very, very best I've seen. So,
hey, John.
Thank you, John.
I'm sorry. Elizabeth Stuck with 3410. So we would like to get den chiefs, but they meet at the same time as the Cubs. So is that typical? Is that usual? Or do the den chiefs or do we need to schedule our time so that the den chiefs don't have to miss their troop meeting to help us out?
So that's a hard one because they need to go to their troop, but they also the other ours. See, we all meet in the same building, and so the Cubs meet at 5 o'clock to 6, and then the Scouts meet from 6 to 8, and so it works out easy that way. The challenge I've had, which is what you're saying, is I've been Cub Master, and then I'm Assistant Scout Master of the girls troop, and there's so many meetings that overlap, and nobody will give in. And I finally had to give up being Cub Master because I couldn't go to all the different meetings because they schedule them at the same time, and it is frustrating. But if you can somehow, do that. And the other thing you could do is have them come for half of the meeting or something, because they do breakouts. So you just have to work out those logistics, I guess. That's a hard thing.
Okay, thank you so much.
But it is, I mean, they are worth their weight in gold. Once you get it going, I'll tell you, you'll wish you had them forever.
Thank you, John.
So
I definitely appreciate your wisdom on this. You've definitely had some great experiences. And one other option to the lady that talked about the concern, I know many packs or many dens and scouts share the same hour. Remember, you can go to other scout troops if needed. It may not be ideal, but that is an option. So I want to thank John for all his hard work and getting his portion ready. He's a great assistant commissioner. I couldn't do it without him, and he's leaving me soon because he's retiring to, well, I guess, going up to scouts. Anyway, as we've talked about today, and as you all know, training is super important. And the thing about training is it's not really something to dread. They do a very good job putting these trainings together, a lot of thought and effort. They try to make it to where it's not too dry. And I will say that my training that I've done was much easier. I shouldn't say easier. Easier to get through this past time than it has been in years past. So they're constantly updating and looking on how to improve the trainings. And so I do encourage you to go to whatever, or to go in person to the ones you are able to. If you can't go this year, maybe next year. And then, obviously the online ones, take it a chunk at a time. Or
Kelly?
do it all in one. Yes, ma'am.
A good thing is if you need something and you don't have it in your district, talk to your district executive.
Yes.
I know we're all so willing to help you get trained. So if there's something you need, we can come to you. We can put a small team together. We can do a training just specific to your unit if we need to. We're here to help you. And so if there's something you need and you're not getting it, ask.
Absolutely. Thank you, Nina. I was going to bring that up. I'm glad you did.
The other thing is, if your pack is not running real well, you need to get them trained so that everybody knows their little position, and then it helps it run a whole lot better.
It does.
Some people are doing 2 or 3 jobs and they really don't need to. If everybody knows their position, it kind of works out a lot better.
Yep, you're right. And I know that time is up. And just briefly, thank you all for coming. And I know John